watching 205 Outdoors and listening to 205 Outdoors podcast. So today I'm at our property in an undisclosed location. Can't tell you where it is. It's private property. It's a lease we have. It's a hunting club. I'm out here. We had a little bit of rain this weekend, and today is July the 8th. So this kind of marks that time of year when I like to start putting up trail cameras. I have 6 of my Tacticams with me today, and I'm going to do a separate YouTube video sometime probably this afternoon or tomorrow, where kind of go over why I use Tacticam over some of the other cell cameras out there, and the experiences that I've had and some of the modifications that I've made to my Tacticam to make it more affordable and to get more use out of it. So we'll be going over that. But today I'm at the club, and basically I'm on the four-wheeler. As long as this thing will hold up, I've got a voltage issue on my four-wheeler, and I've changed the battery, charged the battery. It doesn't seem to be a battery issue. It does tend to throw some fuses, and so I think it is in my on my handle here, if you can see it, this little light adjustment, high beam, low beam. I think that is at least the fuse that keeps blowing. So there's some kind of electrical short in there, and I just need to trace it back and wire it, fix it. But anyway, hopefully it'll hold up today. I'm going to look around, and basically what I'm doing, and so I've talked about it before, half of our property you can use corn. A little bit easier to find deer that way. The other half you can't, so it's a little bit more tricky, and it's mainly pines. There are some hardwoods there, but it's a lot of pines, and they've clear cut a lot of it now this year, so it's going to make it a little bit more challenging. So the other thing that you can do is, after a fresh rain, or it's rained a few days, go ahead and start looking for tracks. And as I find signs of what I think is a decent buck track, I'm going to start putting cameras on those crossings near it, and fields near it, and entries and things like that, and try to locate and try to identify what kind of bucks we have, and which ones that I want to, particularly which one I want to go after. So that's going to be my goal today, is to identify tracks, identify where they're crossing, where they're coming from, where they're going, and then put a camera up there and see if it's a target buck or not. This part of the property is the trophy only property. So, I've talked about it before. This particular part of our property, we have part of it that you can shoot anything that you want, but this side is trophy only, meaning what we consider trophy is 4.5 years old or older, 120 inches or greater in size, rack size, or 170 pounds or greater. So any of those things could make it a trophy. So, but you gotta be able to identify, because it's not like the property is just full of those bucks. There may be a few out here, but it's not just, we're not covered up. It's not a high fence. It is private property, but it's nothing, you're not going to come out here and see 50 bucks that are mature. I mean, you may have a handful, 5 or 6 maybe total on the whole, nearly 2,500 acres. So you got to be able to identify those, and the best way to do it is start working early, and identify them. Go through, run your cameras if you have them. Look for sign, look for tracks. The other portion of the property, like I said, part of it you can use corn, part of it you can't. The part where I can use corn, I'll start running more cameras over there probably in August. I know where a lot of the deer are there. And using corn's a little bit easier to find them. It's not a guarantee that you'll kill them, but it is easier to find them. And so today I'm just going to go out and look for tracks, and set up cameras on tracks if I find any, and we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching. Wow, as you can see, they have clear cut a lot of our property this year. I mean, a lot of it. But here's the good thing. They did this back in turkey season. So if you look around, you got undergrowth now. You've got things. Grass has already popped back up. So it's not a complete loss here. I mean, the deer have things to browse and feed on. And also, if you look, if you see those set of trees over here, and I'm going to point them out as I come across things like that. And I get that most people probably know this, but new hunters may not know it. but you see those groups of trees that they just left standing? That's probably a creek. That's, you know, they usually leave 20 feet to each side of a creek there. So you've got a travel route with water right there. And I know it for a fact that's a creek because it crosses the gas line over there. But when you see things like that, that may be a place that deer travel. They may use that as cover. You know, there's water source right there. And so it's just things to, you know, to think about, especially come hunting season. You know, when you're looking for travel routes, you know, most of these big bucks may not walk out in this giant field every day, or this giant clear cut. They may not, but they may congregate and use that as a route once the pressure's on during hunting season, kind of stay under cover. Just something to think about. Anyway. All right, so this will be camera number 1 right here. So if you look, I don't know how good you can see it with this GoPro. I'm gonna use my other one. This deer, this is a buck track. You see where he just absolutely sunk up. This is probably a heavier deer. I'm not saying he's a 12 point or anything else, but there's doe tracks all over here near it. They didn't sink up anything like that, and you can see where he's got a pretty big foot right there. So this may be a good place, and he's obviously he's walked over here, sunk up, sunk. I mean, this is a heavier deer, you know. So I want to go ahead and get him on camera and see what he is. I'm going to put a camera up right here, and this is, you can't tell it from right here. This is coming up on one of our fields, so I may drive down a little bit further and make sure he's not crossing near that field too. But I want to mark this. This will be, he comes and goes through here for whatever reason. It's kind of in the open, probably all at night, by the way. So just because, you know, we find stuff like this deer could be traveling through here at midnight, and you'll never see him in the daytime until the rut, if then. But I just want to know he's on the property so I can find him and start locating where he's bedding out and how he's traveling and what he is doing during the daytime. So that's step 1, is finding them. So let's try that. We're going to put a camera up here. So like I was saying, they came through, I mean, over the last month or so, or well, I say last month or so, since I think they were working on it actually during turkey season. So this is July. So it's been, you know, several months. But this area right here, okay. When I post this video, I'm going to post some pictures. Again, I'm not going to tell you where this property is. So don't even ask in the comments. I cannot disclose that information. But I can show you some pictures, and I don't care if the guys in the club see it. I think most of them are aware of the bucks that we have on this property. This is a great property. But this whole area all through here was just solid pines. So when you looked at the ground, you didn't see a whole lot of green stuff. There were bucks that, you know, I killed a nice 9 point over here. We had I'm going to try to pull up the picture. I'm going to hold my hand up so I'll remember. I'm going to try to find the picture of the crazy horn deer. I almost had him over there. I think the deer saw me getting up the tree or something. I suspect that was him, and he got killed right across the creek over there by our neighbor. But I killed that 9 point over there. There's been several nice bucks taken out of this area. But one of the problems with this area is that it's been so dense with pines. You know, the deer they kind of come through here. It's more of a travel. So you've got a field here, you've got a field over this way, and you've got a big creek over there, huge creek. And so the deer like to travel through here, but it's never been more of a, you know, it was hard to hunt them. It was hard for me anyway. And the same thing with turkeys. You know, turkeys liked being over here too, but it was just hard to find them. But since they've came through, and if you look at how thin this is now, so these loggers came through, and this is called a select cut, meaning they didn't just clear the whole land off like they did on the other part of the property. They were very selective. So now you've got this all thinned out, and what's happened is the sun has hit it, and you see all this green. Well, now we've got things that can bring deer in. You know, you've got bedding that they can bed in some of these, around these treetops. They can see. They got good thermals coming through here. They've got greenery that's sprouting up, and that also helps turkeys too. So this is good for deer and turkey. Anyway, so if you see them cutting on your property, this isn't necessarily a bad sign. Even when they clear cut it, I mean, I get it. I talked to one of the landowners, and there was a certain beetle that had attacked the pines this year, and yeah, it was killing the pines. So it was either lose them to beetles or go ahead and clear cut it and replant. And he chose to clear cut and replant. It's hard to blame the man. I mean, no sense in losing your whole property. But anyway, I just want to show you guys this. This is beautiful. Now I got to figure out how to hunt it. I got to figure out how the deer are traveling. This is going to be a project of mine probably for a couple of years, learning this. I mean, I've walked all this property, but now that deer can actually travel through here, or deer's always travel. Let me rephrase it. Now that I can see deer travel and actually find a way to hunt them, because there's a roadway right over there, and I don't know if that's the main road or not. I'm just looking. I'm just kind of rolled up on this. But if that's the main road, I've got different access points, trees that I can get into. Huge tree right there I can get into with a saddle and probably see all this whole area right here. And so if that is the main road that I used to come in right there, that's perfect. I can get right up that tree with no problem, quiet. This would be an SRT for you guys that saddle hunt. That's probably an SRT tree that I'll tie off a paracord up there. I'll climb it, tie a paracord, and I'll use SRT to get in and out of it, just so I can get in and out quick and quietly. Anyway, just want to show you guys this. I'm pumped. I'm so glad that they chose to thin cut this. It's been needing it for years. It's been really difficult to hunt, and now it's huntable. Now, we haven't planted yet this year, but you can see, I mean, we've got clover out here, and deer, I mean, it's obviously they've been eating it. So I'm going to put a camera probably on that tree right there, just sort of facing back. Wish they had clear cut, or not clear cut, but select cut some of this out here too, but they didn't for some reason. That'd been great. But anyway, I'm going to put a camera on probably this tree right here, this little pine. I'll show you sort of the point of view. So it's going to kind of give a, right here where they're feeding. If they're actually feeding on this, the grass looks much taller in other areas of the field, so it looks like they're potentially coming through here. And there's trails everywhere, so I mean, it's hard to tell. It could just be a bunch of, before it was a lot of doe groups, but occasionally you will catch a buck come through here, so put a camera on it. Okay, so on another potential, I mean, this could all be part of the same deer. I mean, that's the other spot was that I found these good tracks for probably, I don't know, about 300 yards, 300 or 400 yards. So, I mean, potentially it's the same deer, but it's another heavier buck. You can see where he's walked, when it was a little bit rainy. It's pretty good definition right here in this track. You can see it. The dew claws right there. That's a pretty good track. I mean, I wear size 8 gloves, so I have pretty big hand. It looks like a decent track, and he's walked all over the place over here. So this, and it looks like he crosses here. Again, the guys in the club are probably like, thanks, but I mean, where are you gonna hunt him at? You got a dead tree over there maybe, but we're just trying to find deer right now. Again, you see where he crossed right here. He's sunk all up, and you see where he tore the side of the bank up a little bit. I know that's clear cut, but you can see where he kicked the rocks going up. Decent deer. I'm gonna put a camera here. These little stands just go right into the ground as long as you have ground soft enough to put them. And of course my camera's upside down. The little screw insert on the side, it got messed up on mine, or the bottom, so I'm using the back insert. Anyway, this is a little bit adjustable still. I'm gonna go turn it on, make sure we get camera footage. I had one earlier where the SD card was bad. If the SD card's bad in these, it'll let you know pretty quick because it won't link up. It'll show SD in green, but when it comes to signal, you'll just get a red bar right there. And if that happens, you're not sending pictures and you have good batteries. I mean, it could always be the signal, but be sure you check your SD card. In this case, we've got 4 bars green. Just gonna do a test picture, make sure my 4-wheeler's in that picture. As soon as it stops blinking, we're good. And it has, it's still blinking. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stop blinking. All right, so we have a picture. That's how quick Tactacam is. And again, I haven't used these cameras in a couple of months. They were actually deactivated until just a few minutes ago. Now let's see what we have for picture. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not with this sun. Yeah, there we go, right there. So if he crosses, I should catch him. I don't know if you can see that. But I wanted to make sure I had my 4-wheeler hot. So that's, you look, that camera's pointed diagonal. So if he crosses anywhere over in here, we should catch him. All right. Just something else to think about. When you come up on a clear cut, take advantage of this stuff by looking at your maps. I'm gonna pull up Onyx Hunt. You can kind of help yourself learn how to read these topographic maps. It's gonna be difficult for you to see with the sun, but you can kind of look at your contour lines. You can see this is obviously, it's not a huge hill, but this is a change in elevation. I mean, you know, 20, 25 feet, 30 feet, whatever it is. But you've got these rolls and you've got little saddles that come down through there. You've got drainages that go down through there. And you know, this stuff is how deer move through this stuff. You know, they may not be standing always right here in the open. While you may see tracks, that doesn't mean the deer's gonna be here in the middle of the daytime. But you do understand that they move, you know, through some of these, they use these terrain features. If you just, I forget who it is, I'd give them credit. But I heard somebody say one time, if you didn't know a property and you didn't have a map or anything, you know, you didn't mind getting lost potentially, if you just took off and started walking, you're going to probably find that where you walk is where deer are going to be at, because you're going to pick the easiest route. You're not going to go straight up the side of a mountain. You're probably going to take the least steep way of moving and the most efficient way, and deer are going to do the same thing. They travel out here every day. So, you know, always think about that when you're looking at maps or looking at new terrain, and, you know, as you're learning how to use these maps and these topographic features, you know, go to these clear cuts and just use them as an opportunity to say, okay, well, this is what I'm looking at on the map and this is what I'm looking at in person. So, okay, this is what this is. And learn how to identify these structures, drainages, you know, big ones, drainages, saddles, depressions, you know, hills, peaks, valleys, all that stuff. Anyway, hopefully this helps. Good place to see a cottonmouth.